Student debt, it's the elephant in the room for millions of graduates. But what if I told you that you don't have to let it control your life? It feels like this giant, unbeatable monster, I get it. You get that piece of paper, your diploma, and along with it you get this other piece of paper, or more likely an email, that says you owe tens of thousands, maybe even hundreds of thousands of dollars. It's overwhelming, and it can feel like you're starting your adult life already 10 steps behind. The stress is real, and it can dictate every choice you make, from the job you take to where you live. But here's the thing, and I really want you to hear this: you have more power than you think. This isn't about shaming anyone for having debt. It's about giving you the tools, the strategies, and the mindset to take back control. We're going to break it down, piece by piece, so that instead of feeling like you're drowning, you feel like you're building a ladder to climb out. It's not going to be easy, and it's not going to happen overnight, but with the right game plan, you can absolutely conquer this. Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're tackling one of the biggest money challenges young adults face: student debt. But this isn't a pity party. We're here to learn how to stay ahead of it. We're going to dive into 10 specific, actionable strategies that you can start using today to get ahead of your student loans. So grab a coffee, or better yet, a free glass of water to save money, and let's get into it. And make sure to smash the like button for the YouTube algorithm. It really helps the channel out. Alright, first things first, and this is non-negotiable. You cannot fight an enemy you don't understand. You absolutely have to know exactly what you owe. I'm talking about getting forensic with your finances. This means you need to gather every single piece of information about every single loan you have. Don't just look at the total balance and have a panic attack. You need to dig deeper. Who is the lender? Is it the federal government or a private company like SoFi or Sallie Mae? This distinction is critically important because federal and private loans have completely different rules, protections, and repayment options. Once you've separated your federal and private loans, you need to create a master list or a spreadsheet. For each individual loan, you need to list the current balance, the original principal amount, and most importantly, the interest rate. The interest rate is the number that determines how quickly your debt grows, and it's the real enemy here. A 3% loan behaves very differently from a 7% loan. Knowing these rates will be crucial for our later strategies, especially when we talk about paying them off. It's like knowing which opponent to take down first in a fight. Next up on your spreadsheet, the servicer and the due dates. Who do you actually send the money to? Is it Nelnet, Great Lakes, or some other company? And when is that payment due? Every single month? Missing a payment is a surefire way to hurt your credit score and potentially rack up late fees, so you need to have these dates locked down. Also, look at the repayment timeline. Are you on a standard 10-year plan, or something longer? Knowing the end date can be a powerful motivator, so your homework for this step is to become the ultimate detective of your own debt. Log into the National Student Loan Data System for your federal loans. Pull your credit report for free to find any private loans you might have forgotten about. Create that spreadsheet. It might feel uncomfortable or even scary to look at these numbers so closely, but I promise you, knowledge is power. This single step is the foundation for every other move we're about to make. You can't build a plan on vague ideas, you need cold, hard facts. Now this next strategy might sound a little counterintuitive, especially when you're a broke student just trying to afford ramen noodles. But trust me on this. If you can find a way to make payments while you're still in school, you will be giving your future self a massive financial high five. Even tiny payments can make a huge difference down the line because of the magic, or in this case, the tyranny, of compound interest. For most unsubsidized loans, interest starts accumulating the second the money is sent to your school. It doesn't wait for you to graduate. Let's break this down with a simple example. Think about how much you spend on coffee or going out each week. Let's say it's $25. What if, instead of that, you put that $25 towards the interest on your student loan each month? It might feel like a drop in the ocean, but you're not just paying down $25. You are preventing that $25 of interest from being added to your principal balance, a process called capitalization. When interest capitalizes, you then start paying interest on your interest. It's a vicious cycle that makes your loan grow even when you're not borrowing more money. By making these small, interest-only payments, you're essentially freezing your loan balance. You're stopping it from getting bigger while you focus on your studies. Imagine graduating with the same loan balance you started with, instead of one that's thousands of dollars larger because of accrued interest. It's a powerful concept. You don't have to pay off the whole loan before you graduate, not even close. The goal here is simply damage control. Even 10 or 20 bucks a month is better than nothing. It's about building a habit and fighting back against interest capitalization. So, look at your budget as a student. Is there a part-time job, a small allowance, any little bit of income you can find? Before you spend it on something that will be gone tomorrow, consider using a fraction of it to pay down that accruing interest. Contact your loan servicer and ask how to make prepayments. Some will let you do it easily online. This proactive step is one of the single best ways to get a head start and reduce the total amount you'll end up paying over the life of the loan. It's a short-term sacrifice for a massive long-term gain. Alright, Chapter 3. If you don't have a budget, you're essentially trying to navigate a cross-country road trip without a map or GPS. You might eventually get to your destination, but you're going to waste a lot of time, money, and gas along the way. A budget is your financial GPS. It tells you exactly where your money is coming from and, more importantly, where it's going. Without this information, trying to pay off debt is just guesswork. You need to know your numbers down to the last penny. Creating a budget doesn't have to be complicated. You can use a simple spreadsheet, a notebook, or a budgeting app like Mint, YNAB, You Need a Budget, or Personal Capital. The tool doesn't matter as much as the habit. Start by tracking every single dollar you earn. That's your salary, any side hustle income, any cash you get, everything. That's the easy part. The hard part, and the most eye-opening part, is tracking every single expense for at least 1 month. And I mean everything. The coffee, the subscription you forgot about, the late-night pizza, all of it. Once you have a full month of data, you can categorize your spending. You'll have fixed expenses like rent, car payments, and your minimum student loan payment. Then you'll have variable expenses like groceries, gas, and entertainment. This is where you find the opportunities. You'll likely be shocked at where your money is actually going. That small daily lunch purchase might be costing you $300 a month. Those multiple streaming services could be adding up to 70 bucks. This isn't about making you feel guilty. It's about identifying leaks in your financial boat. The pro tip here is to keep your major costs, what I call the big three, as low as humanly possible. I'm talking about housing, transportation, and food. These three categories are where most people's money goes. If you can keep these under control by getting a roommate, driving a used car, or cooking most of your meals at home, you will free up an incredible amount of cash. This extra cash is your secret weapon. It's the money you can then use to throw at your debt, which we'll talk about later. A budget gives you the clarity to make those powerful decisions. Alright, so this next one is for everyone. Whether you're about to start college, already in the middle of it, or even if you're a grad student, you seriously need to be applying for scholarships, like, all the time. I know what you might be thinking. Alex, scholarships are for high school valedictorians and star athletes. But, that is just totally wrong. There are scholarships out there for literally everything you can imagine. I mean, there are scholarships for being left-handed, for being tall, for being a twin, for loving Star Trek, or even for wanting to be a welder. If you have a pulse and a hobby, there's probably a scholarship for it. The key here is to treat applying for scholarships like it's your part-time job. The ROI, return on investment, is honestly kind of wild. Let's say you spend 2 hours on an application for a $1,000 scholarship. If you win it, you just made $500 an hour, tax-free. Show me another job that pays that well. The money you win is free money that you don't have to borrow, which means you don't have to pay it back with interest. Every single dollar you win in a scholarship is potentially $2 or $3 you're saving in future loan payments. So, where do you actually find these magical scholarships? You gotta become a power user of scholarship search engine websites. I'm talking about sites like Fastweb, Bold.org, Scholarships.com, and Scholly. Create detailed profiles on all of them, set up alerts, dedicate a few hours every single week to searching and applying. Yes, it's a numbers game. You'll get rejected from a lot of them, and that's totally fine. You only need to win a few to make a massive impact on your total debt load. It's about persistence and volume. And here's a pro tip to make the process way more efficient. Create a master document with your common essay responses. Tons of scholarships ask similar questions about your goals, your background, your challenges, and what you do with the money. Write a fantastic, compelling essay for each of these prompts. Then, when you're applying, you can just copy, paste, and tweak them a little to fit the specific scholarship. This will seriously save you hundreds of hours and let you apply to, like, 10 times as many opportunities. Don't leave free money on the table. Go get it. If you have federal student loans, and honestly most people do, you actually have access to some special superpowers that private loan borrowers just don't. One of the most important is the ability to enroll in an income-driven repayment, or IDR plan. These plans can be a total lifesaver, especially if you've just graduated and your income is low, or maybe if you lose your job. Instead of a standard payment that's calculated to pay off your loan in 10 years, an IDR plan figures out your monthly payment based on a percentage of your discretionary income. This means your payment can be way lower than the standard payment. In some cases, if your income is low enough, your payment could be as low as $0 per month, and that $0 payment still counts as an on-time payment, keeping your loan in good standing. The main federal IDR plans are SAVE, which stands for Saving on a Valuable Education, Pay or Pay as You Earn, and IBR, which is Income-Based Repayment. The new SAVE plan is often the most helpful for borrowers since it has a more generous definition of discretionary income and an interest subsidy. So, the big benefit here is cash flow. A lower monthly payment frees up money in your budget for other essential stuff like rent and food, especially in those early years of your career. To apply, you just head over to the federal student aid website, studentaid.gov, and fill out the application. You'll need to provide proof of your income, usually from your most recent tax return, and you'll have to recertify your income and family size every single year to stay on the plan. Yeah, it's a bit of paperwork, but honestly, it's worth it for the flexibility. Now here's the very important caution. While IDR plans can lower your monthly payment, they usually extend your repayment period from 10 years to 20 or even 25 years. This means that, in a lot of cases, you could end up paying more in total interest over the life of the loan. It's a trade-off: lower monthly payments now in exchange for potentially paying more over the long haul. The exception is if you qualify for Public Service Loan Forgiveness, or PSLF, or if your remaining balance is forgiven at the end of the 20 to 25-year term, though that forgiven amount might be considered taxable income. So, use IDR plans wisely as a tool for cash flow management, not necessarily as a long-term cost-saving strategy, unless you have a clear path to forgiveness. Once you've got your budget dialed in, and you've freed up some extra cash, it's time to go on the offensive. Making only the minimum payment is honestly the slowest and most expensive way to pay off your debt. The bank or loan servicer loves it when you do this, because they get to collect the maximum amount of interest from you. Our goal is to pay them as little interest as possible, and the way we do that is by making extra payments. Every extra dollar you pay goes straight towards reducing the principal balance of your loan. When you shrink the principal, you also reduce the amount of interest that racks up each day, which means more of your future payments go towards the principal. This creates a powerful snowball effect. Now there are two popular strategies for how to apply these extra payments: the debt snowball and the debt avalanche. The debt snowball method, which was popularized by Dave Ramsey, involves listing all your debts from the smallest balance to the largest, no matter the interest rate. You make minimum payments on everything and throw all your extra cash at the smallest debt until it's gone. When that smallest debt is paid off, you get a quick psychological win. It feels awesome. Then you take the money you were paying on that debt and roll it into the next smallest debt. This creates a snowball of momentum that gets bigger as you go. The debt avalanche method, on the other hand, is mathematically the most efficient. With this strategy, you list your debts from the highest interest rate to the lowest. You make minimum payments on everything and throw all your extra cash at the debt with the highest interest rate. This saves you the most money in interest over time. Whichever method you choose, the psychological win of the snowball or the mathematical optimization of the avalanche. The most important part is this pro tip. When you make an extra payment, you have to specify to your loan servicer that the extra money should go directly to the principal. If you don't, they might just apply it to future payments, which doesn't help you pay the loan off faster or save on interest. You often have to check a box online or even call them to make sure it's applied correctly. So, be your own advocate. As you start earning more money and your credit score improves, you might start getting offers in the mail or seeing ads online to refinance your student loans. Refinancing means you take out a new private loan to pay off all of your old loans. The goal here is to get a new loan with a much lower interest rate. So, if you have loans with an average interest rate of 7% and you can refinance them into a single loan at 4%, that could save you thousands or even tens of thousands of dollars in interest over time. This can be an incredibly powerful strategy, especially if you have high-interest private student loans. Private loans don't come with the same benefits as federal loans, so there's really very little downside to refinancing them if you can get a better rate. Companies like SoFi, Laurel Road, and Earnest are major players in this space. They'll look at your income, your credit score, and your debt-to-income ratio to figure out what kind of interest rate they can offer you. Honestly, it's always worth shopping around and getting quotes from multiple lenders to see who can give you the best deal. However, and this is a huge, flashing neon sign however, you must be extremely careful about refinancing your federal student loans. When you refinance a federal loan into a private loan, you permanently lose all of the federal protections and benefits we talked about earlier. You are giving up access to income-driven repayment plans like SAVE. You are giving up the potential for any future government loan forgiveness programs, like public service loan forgiveness, or any other broad cancellation that might be passed. You're also giving up access to generous deferment and forbearance options if you lose your job or have an economic hardship. So, the decision to refinance federal loans is a serious one that you cannot undo. It generally only makes sense if you have a very high, stable income, a large emergency fund, a secure job, and you are absolutely certain you won't need any of those federal safety nets. For many people, a hybrid approach is best. Refinance your high-interest private loans to save money, but keep your federal loans with the government to maintain those valuable protections. Seriously, read all the fine print and understand exactly what you're giving up before you sign on the dotted line. You did it. You walked across the stage, you got your diploma, and you landed your first real job with a salary that looks massive compared to the part-time gigs you had in college. The temptation is immediate and intense. It's time to upgrade everything. You want the brand new car, the fancy downtown apartment, the designer clothes, the expensive dinners out with friends to celebrate. This phenomenon is called lifestyle inflation, and it is the single biggest threat to your goal of paying off your student loans quickly. My advice is simple, but it's not easy. For the first few years after graduation, you need to continue to live like a broke college student. I know, it's not what you want to hear. You've worked hard and you feel like you deserve to enjoy the fruits of your labor. But if you can resist the urge to inflate your lifestyle, you can change the entire trajectory of your financial future. The gap between your new, higher income and your old student-level expenses is a powerful wealth-building and debt-destroying machine. Think about it. You survived college living with roommates, right? So keep living with roommates for another year or two. The difference between paying $1,800 for a solo apartment and $900 for a shared one is $900 a month you can throw directly at your loans. You survived on ramen and homemade meals, right? Keep packing your lunch and limit eating out. That could save you another $300 to $400 a month. You drove an old beat-up car or took public transit. Keep doing that instead of taking on a $500 monthly car payment. By keeping your expenses artificially low, you can take huge chunks out of your student loan principal every single month. This strategy allows you to pay off your loans in a fraction of the time, maybe in 3 to 5 years instead of 10 or 20. It requires discipline and a mindset shift. You have to focus on the long-term goal of financial freedom instead of the short-term pleasure of a new purchase. It's a temporary sacrifice. Live like a student for a few more years so you can live like a king for the rest of your life, completely debt-free. We've talked a lot about cutting expenses, which is incredibly important. But at a certain point, you can only cut so much. There's a limit to how frugal you can be. However, there is no limit to how much you can earn. This is why the other side of the equation, increasing your income, is so powerful. Starting a side hustle is one of the best ways to generate extra cash that you can use to absolutely obliterate your student debt. This is about going on offense and accelerating your timeline to freedom. The beauty of the modern economy is that there are countless ways to earn extra money on the side, using the skills you already have or can easily learn. Are you great at a particular subject you studied in college? Start tutoring high school or college students online or in person. You can easily charge $30, $50, or even more per hour. Are you a good writer, graphic designer, or video editor? Hop on platforms like Upwork or Fiverr and start freelancing for clients all over the world. Your skills are valuable and people will pay for them. Maybe you prefer something that doesn't require as much brain power after a long day at your main job. That's fine too. You can sign up to be a delivery driver for DoorDash or Uber Eats and work whenever you have a spare hour or two. You could become a dog walker or pet sitter on Rover. You could go to thrift stores, find undervalued items, and flip them for a profit on eBay or Facebook Marketplace. The options are endless. The key is to find something that fits your schedule, your skills, and your energy level. Here's the most critical part of this strategy. You must have a plan for every single dollar you earn from your side hustle. It is so tempting to see that extra income as fun money. You have to resist that temptation. Create a separate bank account for your side hustle income, and set up an automatic transfer to your student loan servicer. Earmark 100% of your side hustle profits, after setting aside a bit for taxes, to go directly towards your student loans. This is your debt destruction fuel. An extra $500 a month from a side hustle can cut years off your repayment plan and save you thousands in interest. Our final strategy is all about maintenance and mindset. Paying off a large amount of debt is a marathon, not a sprint. It's a long-term journey, and you need to stay informed and take care of yourself along the way to avoid burnout. The world of student loans is constantly changing. The government introduces new programs, interest rates can fluctuate, and forgiveness policies can be updated. You need to stay on top of these changes. Make it a habit to regularly check in on reliable sources of information. Follow reputable financial news websites, subscribe to newsletters from the Department of Education, and of course, stay subscribed to channels like this one that break down the latest updates for you. Being informed means you can take advantage of new opportunities as they arise. For example, if a new, more generous repayment plan is introduced, you want to be among the first to know so you can see if it benefits you. Knowledge is your best defense against paying more than you have to. Equally important is protecting your mental health. Staring at a six-figure debt balance can be incredibly stressful and anxiety-inducing. It can feel hopeless at times. It is crucial to remember that your debt does not define your worth as a person. It is a financial problem with a financial solution, nothing more. Celebrate the small wins along the way. When you pay off one small loan, treat yourself to something small. When you hit a milestone like getting your balance below $50,000, acknowledge your progress. And please, do not be afraid to ask for help when you need it. If you're feeling overwhelmed by the numbers, consider talking to a nonprofit credit counselor or a fee-only financial advisor who can help you create a plan. If the stress is affecting your mental well-being, talk to a friend, a family member, or a mental health professional. You are not alone in this. Millions of people are on the same journey. Staying informed and staying sane are the keys to crossing the finish line. So there you have it, 10 actionable strategies to get ahead of your student debt. Look, I know this is a lot to take in, and the road ahead might seem long, but the most important thing to remember is that you are in the driver's seat. Student debt doesn't have to define your future. With smart moves and a little hustle, you can take control of your financial journey. Every extra payment you make, every dollar you save, every side hustle you start is a step towards freedom. It's about turning that feeling of helplessness into a feeling of empowerment. The journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step, and your first step was watching this video and getting educated. Now it's time to take the next one. Pick one strategy from this video, just one, and implement it this week. Maybe it's creating that master spreadsheet of your loans. Maybe it's applying for one scholarship. Maybe it's tracking your spending for a month. Small, consistent actions are what lead to massive results over time. You can absolutely do this. If you found this video helpful, give it a thumbs up, share it with a friend who might be struggling with their own debt, and of course make sure you subscribe for more Money Smart content every week. I want to build a community here where we can all learn and grow together. Let me know in the comments which one of these strategies you're going to try first, or if you have a debt-crushing strategy of your own that I didn't mention. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.